how would you more clearly phrase what you need to unlearn in terms of medicine, what you need to learn when it comes to adapting to the digital space?
Right. So many things, but just to give you like some concrete thoughts on this. One thing is, normally as a doctor, you are not in charge of generating demand for your patient. So you're in the emergency room and then somebody comes in because they have a problem, because they've been brought in by ambulance. We had a discussion with our hospital management where somebody came to us and said, we're not having enough patients this year. You need to bring in more patients. And we all looked at each other and we said, so what do? We I don't know, we beat up people on the street and we pull them. Should we carve into people's faces on our way home? I don't know. What's your suggestion there, right? But it's not something we're used to, right? There's external demand. If you're an entrepreneur, there is a void. There's nothing. And you have to actually understand, okay, how do I create work for myself? Firstly, and then secondly, how do I prioritize it? And what do I decide to ignore out of the things that I think are worth doing? And how do I find out very quickly if it's still worth doing it, right? So it's the opposite, where you have to create something out of nothing. And the other one is you have to deal with things as they come. The other part of it is that as doctors often we're really good at, you can just throw anything at a doctor and they will deal with it, right? But they're not so good at necessarily planning ahead or at questioning the way they do things. So if you go in a typical office of a doctor or an emergency room and you look at how the things are sorted in what's it called, in I'm lacking a word there. The table where, you have all of the items in it, the syringes and what's that called? Where you serve all the
operating table?
Well, no, the stuff in the emergency room with, the needles, the scalpel blades, and you can pull them out. And
emergency room. Sure, let's go with that.
So let's say if somebody looks at the drawers, is the stuff that's needed the most, is that always on the top drawer or not? Like, the doctors don't wonder about these things, right? You're never thinking about how can I optimize my processes? How can I, do more than just this one-on-one thing? And doctors often only think, how do I optimize the resources for this one patient? How do I do the best for my patient? They don't think about the opportunity cost that they create by overly focusing on one patient and not on the other, or, by creating a lot of costs that might be useful in a kindergarten, whatever, right? So you don't have this thinking beyond what's immediately in front of you. Another thing I think that I often see with doctors is where it's this first do no harm principle, which is great. And we have to be very risk averse in medicine. But in a startup space, you can afford to make mistakes often. So there's this mantra of, fail fast, fail early, fail often, fail forward, which to a doctor sounds like kill fast, kill early, kill often. And we're afraid of that, right? But we need to get better at allowing mistakes where it's safe to make mistakes. And we need to understand where it's not okay to make the mistakes, but we need to be more differentiated there. And what I often see with doctors is that they always come up with there's this one exception why this whole thing doesn't work. So you might say, I have this new app. And then they would tell you, oh yeah, but the other day I had a patient, they had no arms. And then you say, great, but then they can use voice activation. Yeah, but what if, they can't speak? And then so you always have this destroying ideas by seeing too many problems and too many complexities rather than saying, okay, I don't know, let's give it a try and let's see what happens.